Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Rachel Williams begins now.
Good evening, everyone. Detectives are investigating a mystery death after a man's body was found by the side of a road near Richmond. As we go to air tonight, a section of Colebrook Road remains closed. These live pictures showing police on the scene continuing to piece together what happened. Authorities say the man's injuries are not consistent with being hit by a car, so they're treating his death as suspicious.
A normally busy rural road north of Richmond shut down for most of the day. This, the scene of a mystery body discovery by a passing motorist in the early hours of this morning.
Around 6 a.m. this morning, Tasmania Police received a report from a member of the public of a deceased male being located on Colebrook Road, about 2 kilometres north of the township of Richmond.
Crash investigators examined the scene but found the evidence didn't add up to a hit and run. This death now treated as suspicious.
I can't elaborate on the injuries. I can tell you that crash investigation attended the scene. So their advice is that the injuries are not consistent with what you would expect from a crash.
A post-mortem examination will be carried out tomorrow. Police say they believe they know who the man is and have spoken to his family. They say he's in his early 20s but haven't released other details.
We're appealing for members of the public to come forward, members of the public who may have seen vehicles or a male person on Colebrook Road just north of Richmond, either late last night or in the early hours of this morning.
Police have been redirecting traffic away from the site, with a large section of Colebrook Road closed today as investigators combed through the scene.
A very careful and methodical forensic examination is being conducted at the scene, because that's going to help inform us so that we know moving forward what has occurred in the early hours of this morning.
Anyone with information can report it to Crime Stoppers and remain anonymous. Michael Breen, 7 Tasmania News.
A 9-year-old boy has been killed in an ATV crash at SANDFORD. Police confirmed he was involved in an ATV rollover at a family member's property on Dixon Point Road yesterday afternoon. Despite attempts by family members, officers and paramedics, he couldn't be revived and died at the scene. Police say the boy was wearing a full-face helmet but couldn't confirm whether a rollover bar was fitted to the vehicle. A report is being prepared for the coroner. Fire has badly damaged a home in West Launceston this afternoon. Vision of the flames escaping from the home's garage was caught on camera, with firefighters taking around half an hour to contain the blaze on a steep section of Outram Street.
We had down power lines, so we had live power. The intensity of the fire and the location of the fire made it very hard for firefighters.
The cause of the fire remains under investigation. The homeowners were inside when the blaze broke out, but they managed to escape without injury. It's unclear whether the home remains structurally sound or if it will have to be bulldozed. Well, the Liberal Party says it will not bankroll a Tasmanian AFL team in a clear policy contrast to Labor. The Liberals say it's up to the AFL to fund a local side in the same way the league supports expansion clubs the Gold Coast Suns and Greater Western Sydney.
We think that one of the richest sporting organisations in the country should pony up not only with a licence for Tasmania, but also with the funding for that licence.
Labor has committed $25 million of federal funding to the AFL if it grants Tasmania a licence.
That's a really good down payment because the knock-on benefits are just immense for this state in terms of marketing and tourism.
State government contracts with the Hawks and the Kangaroos expire in 2021, potentially opening the door to a state-based side. Around 100 protesters gathered on Hobart's Parliament lawns today to voice their concerns over the treatment and rights of refugees. Community groups banding together for the third locally held protest, part of a nationwide day of action for Palm Sunday.
We don't believe that people should be kept in indefinite detention and in prisons when they've not committed a crime, and we feel that it's time to change the policy and to treat people more humanely.
Refugee advocates estimate more than 900 people are currently placed on Manus Island and Nauru. You'll usually hear them on Anzac Day and at public events. But next weekend, a Tasmanian brass ensemble is taking its sound to the other side of the country. The City of Launceston RSL Band will compete at the National Championships in the performance of a lifetime.
They're Tasmanian music's top brass. The City of Launceston RSL Band, established in 1940, a young George Deering signed up just 2 years later, drawn to music's ability to bring people together.
Music intertwines in life in many different ways.
He's still putting his touch on the band today and will be travelling to Brisbane over Easter for the National Band Championship.
We're given an opportunity for young people to develop as people and as musicians, and I think that's the important part.
Those such as 14-year-old Nick, the group's youngest member.
I want to be like James Morrison and just travel the world.
The band built its competitive streak at a public practice today before they tried to hit the right note against thousands of other musicians.
The Nationals was in Launceston a couple of years ago, and I think off the back of that the band was reasonably successful.
Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmania News.
Tasmanian horse lovers across a range of ages have competed at the State Eventing Championships at Lauderdale. Entrants as young as 9 and up to 58 years old.
We do have junior and senior classes, so riders under 18 and riders over, so that's the only separation we have. Other than that, it's open slather, men compete against women, everything else is even.
The weekend competition including show jumping, cross country and dressage. As the trees continue to lose their leaves, the Derwent Valley has marked the end of summer with the 19th annual Autumn Festival. Thousands today flocking to New Norfolk's Esplanade to enjoy the music and festivities and the trees surrounding the event.
I think it's an opportunity, probably one of the last things before winter, and you can come and see the beautiful autumn trees and probably come and meet their friends and have a look around the stalls, sit down, some entertainment, that sort of stuff.
The event attracts around 15,000 people each year. Teenagers have picked up a spray can to transform a water storage tank into an eye-catching work of art, adding a splash of colour to the Mount Stewart area using street art to tackle vandalism.
An unusual canvas for these young artists. They've spent this weekend spraying bright images on this giant water tank to create a colourful street art mural.
So we're painting this tank in Mount Stewart for Youth Week. Last year we painted a tank in Rokeby for Youth Week, so we figured we'd give the youth an opportunity to do what they love this year.
I really like doing spray painting, and I don't usually get a chance to do much just normally, so whenever there's like a mural opportunity available, I really like taking that.
The program is run by TasWater to target unwanted graffiti at Tasmanian reservoirs, while getting teenagers from youth services to share their street art with local communities.
It looks nice, it's like a nice thing for people to be able to see in the street, and it's also a way for artists to express themselves and have a lot of people see it.
This tank, it had some scrappy tags on it that were quite old, and it was quite ugly. It's nestled right in the middle of the community, opposite a playground, so I thought it was a good opportunity to make it look a bit more aesthetically pleasing.
And this 17-year-old has used Youth Week as inspiration for her piece.
This one is in like my favourite colour combination, which is orange and blue. I guess it's supposed to be like, because it is for Youth Week, and I wanted to draw a child and like a child's like fascination with the world.
An artistic outlet to stand against vandalism. Ruby Kamain, 7 Tasmania News.
It's been a big day for the Tassie Devils NAB League side, recording their first win on home soil. Ulverston's Joel Hennessy kicked the Devils' first goal at Penguins Dial Park, while Jackson Callow bagged 4 majors for the day. The Calder Cannons had a few highlights of their own, such as this screamer, which was pretty unlucky not to be paid.
Oh, what a mark.
Fantastic grab from Camp over the top, but I don't think he's been paid it.
Tassie held off a late charge from the visitors to go out 12-point winners. And there have been some big scores in the NPL. Devonport is back on top of the table after a huge 6-0 victory over Kingborough. Miles Barnard scoring a double. Noah Mees also goaled twice for Launceston City in its dominant 6-0 win over Clarence. South Hobart cruised past Riverside 5-0 with Ben Hamlet scoring a hat-trick. And in their first match at NPL level in 4 years, old rivals Hobart Zebras drew with Glenorchy Knights 2-2. To motocross, and Jonty Reinders took out the honours in the lights class and King of the Paddock. The Barry Richardson Memorial Grass Track Series held near Ulverston. Kyron Bacon was second, while Dalton Johnson won the vintage class of pre-2000s bikes. And the Launceston Tornadoes are on the board in the NBL 1. 23 points to Sarah O'Neill was crucial in the side's 9-point win over the Hobart Huskies, while the North West Thunder hung on in last night's other local derby.
It didn't matter which way Jalen Adams was facing, even with his back to the basket, he still managed to hit home in a night of high-quality action. A healthy crowd at Kingborough lit up when the hometown Huskies rattled the ring, but supporters were strung out until the very end. The lead spun between the two sides all night. A game-high 31 from Trey Armstrong ensured Hobart could always hear the thunder coming, and lightning struck whenever Nick Banyard came into range, often rolling all the way from defence into a scoring position. It was only the final period when fans sensed the storm had passed, the Thunder turning a 1-point deficit at the final change into a 10-point lead less than 4 minutes later. You will never see the Huskies quit, certainly not in front of a home crowd, but that brief burst by the Northwest sealed victory. 7 points, the final margin. And earlier in the night, the Launceston Tornadoes showed some of their promise, with American import Stephanie Gardner instrumental with 19 points and 10 rebounds. Torns turned Huskies Ellie Collins and Taylor Roberts starred for their new side. Roberts even had the game high of 27 points, but the Tornadoes led the entire second half of the game, finishing with a 9-point buffer.
Good evening. Today, Launceston recorded the state's warmest at 21. Hobart and Burnie both reaching a high of 18 and 19, the top for Devonport. Other centres today, Ouse and Smithton reaching 18, 19 for Friendly Beaches, Strawn and Lowhead, and a top of 20 for Flinders Island. On the close-up, cloud is clearing across the south and central parts while moving over the east and northwest coast through the day. On the satellite, mid to low level cloud over parts of the state, while mid to high level cloud drift over Victoria and New South Wales. Tomorrow, a cold front crosses over southwestern Australia, while a high pressure system in the Tasman Sea directs a northerly wind flow over Tasmania. East to northeasterly winds 15 to 25 knots about the northwest and the southeast tomorrow. Seas reaching at 2.5 metres in the northwest and southwest swells below a metre in the north. On to the warnings. A strong wind warning is current for the northwestern coastal waters from Sandy Cape to Stanley and for southern coastal waters from Tasman Island to Rocky Point. Tomorrow's forecast now: Hobart partly clouding reaching a high of 21, Dover 20 and Ouse early fog then mostly sunny. In the north, Launceston partly cloudy, a high of 20, cloudy and 19 for Devonport and Scottsdale. Burnie tomorrow, a possible shower, 19, sunny day for Strawn and Stanley, 19. A light shower or two for St Helens, 19, Swansea, a partly cloudy one, and Ross, 20. Looking to the 3-day forecast now: Tuesday, north to northeasterly winds fine apart from possible early showers in the north. Wednesday, showers are developing about the northwest and late morning extending statewide in the evening. And finally, Thursday, fresh northwest to westerly winds, showers about the west and south early morning, clearing by late afternoon. Capital cities, Canberra and Sydney, 23, mostly sunny for Melbourne and Darwin. Adelaide reaching a high of 29 and a possible shower for Perth, 22.
Well, that's all your news for now. Thanks for joining us. I'll see you tomorrow at 6. Good night.